friends, it's Karen Valentine here, back to do another color along or a slash tutorial. Lordy lordy, if you guys only knew the problems that I've been having trying to make these videos, you'd be crying with me. I don't know. So I've had a lot of problems with audio for some reason. Um, it's new. I'm not doing anything different, but the audio track that has been happening for the last several attempts on these videos has just been awful, and I've been trying to find out what the reason is, and I haven't been able to, but I've come up with a workaround that hopefully I believe, because I've tested it, will work and be good. So originally I was going to do this image, and then I saw that Karen Zabak from Zucchini Kitty had done it, and I thought, well, I don't want to do the same image, so I went ahead and did this one. Well, I did a lot of hours of filming on this one until I discovered the problem. And rather than do it all over again, I decided, since the image that Karen did, she used pan pastels on, and it's a completely different medium. So I just thought, Karen is a cool gal. She'll probably not mind at all, because truly they're very different in their in the medium I'm using. And you should go over to check it out, because it's a really beautiful page that she did. So we are going to use Luminance pencils for her skin this time. And I will also provide the Prismacolor equivalent, because I know not as many people have Luminance pencils as have Prismacolor. So you can get just as beautiful of a skin tone with the Prismacolors as you can with these. They're just going to be different colors. So I am going to go ahead and start. And we're going to start with Sienna Brown 50% in the Luminance pencils, and that would be Chestnut in the Prismacolors. So we're just going to go ahead and go for it. I use a very light touch when I'm laying down my shadowing, contouring colors, because if I go too heavy, they're harder to blend when that time comes. So hold your pencil down quite far at the end of the pencil. It makes it a lot easier to keep the pressure very light. And a good deep angle helps a lot too. I'm looking at my page, and I've noticed that the printer has put all kinds of little stripy lines across the page. That's not good. That doesn't make me happy, especially since this is a fairly new printer. But I think that once we lay down all the pencil color and blend it, you won't even be able to tell. So that's a good thing. Always want your darker colors around the outer edge and your lighter colors in the center. That helps give the impression that her face is round and not flat. I've been finding myself watching a lot watching faces and people in pictures and on TV even. I find myself looking at the contours of their faces and the shapes of their noses, and I might have told you that already in a previous video, but I do think it's interesting. Are we ready to zoom in a little bit, do you think? How about like that? So this little dark shadow under her eye is the natural shadow that occurs from the eyeball being round. The nose is always the hardest part for me. I think it can make or break a face. But the more I practice, the better I'm gonna get. And you too. If you could see the face that I did, the first face I ever did as an adult, as a colorist, was Medusa from Mythomorphia. That was one of my first coloring books I ever bought. I have a feeling that like the Johanna Basford and the Kirby Roseanne books are the first books that many of us bought. Well, I quickly learned I did not have the patience to do Kirby Roseanne pages. They were just too many little details. But I do love to look at them. Anyway, the Medusa was my first face that I ever did. And when I look back at it now, it's so flat and uninteresting because I just did not know what I was doing. And I'd kind of love to get my hands on that page again, just so that I could do it again and compare what I did then to what I would do now. It's fun to look back on your past work and see the differences. So we know what that is. That's that little divot at the base of her neck. And she's got this light, and it almost seems like that's supposed to be her collarbone. I don't know. If you could see me, I'm feeling my neck and where that collarbone meets. It doesn't feel like it should be curved like that, but I don't know. And then there's nothing on this side, so I'm not sure what I should do here. Sometimes you gotta just change a piece to get it to be the way you want it. For me, I'm not quite sure what that is yet. Let's do this part. So this part would stick up. This part is going to be in shadow just because of where it is in her hair. And then if I were to shade this the way she has it, that would be the part that sticks out like that. But what do I do with that? I don't like the way it appears connected. It just looks funny to me. So I'm gonna ignore the shading and just do it my own way. And hope that it's right when it's all done. Okay, let's go over to her shoulder. And her other arm. So even though there's no shading down her arm, I feel like in order to make her arm look round, we need to put some shading on this side of her arm, and also on this side of her arm. Oh, by the way, I drew a straight line going across the bottom of the image because I like my images to either end off the page or have a defined line. I don't like to leave the color just hanging there loose, so I drew it finish line there. Okay, that's probably more than I needed. I was getting carried away. Birds are so cute. Okay, I think that will complete layer 1. I'm not sure why I can't zoom back up. There we go. So I think that will be layer 1. And now we will start on layer 2. And for that, we're going to use burnt ochre 50%. And the equivalent to that in Prismacolors would be Sienna brown. So I call the first tone, it's not really a tone. Tone is not the right word. The first color is kind of a reddish, it's got reddish undertones. And this one is more orange undertones. Should I zoom in again? What's that? So I'm going to go over what I did with the first color, but then I'm going to come out just a tiny little bit further than what I did with the first color. And we're going to just try and soften the transition between the darkest and the lightest. Oh, I see where I missed. I see where I missed some contouring. We'll go back to that. Pencil feels weird, so I'm going to just sharpen the weird right off. Okay, back to burnt sienna, 50%. I did not do the nose. So I want to try and make sure I do this very, very lightly. I'm going to go under this area right here a little bit. Under here a little bit. Okay, I think I'm ready to add the actual skin color. So for that, we are going to use burnt ochre 10%. Burnt ochre 10%. Boy, when it's in zoom mode, it really gets big. Okay, so we're going to start on the outer edges in a circular motion. And I'm using a medium pressure on the areas that had pencil on them. The first couple layers of pencil. And as I work my way into the center of the forehead, my pressure is getting lighter and lighter because we're coloring now on virgin paper. And so if you go with the same pressure, it's going to really take and look really dark, and we want this to be gradient, like a gradient. So that the face looks round. Darker colors on the outside, lighter colors on the inside. I'll leave it like that for now and move over here. do contour right there underneath her lip. I don't know what's caused that really dark line. I don't remember doing that, but hopefully we can blend that out. So I'm just kind of working in a circle on her chin so that it is darker on the outside and then gets lighter and lighter as you get towards the very tip of the chin. That helps to make it look like it's sticking out away from the face. We want to make sure we don't cover up the little points above her lip. Little teeny tiny circles. So I want to try and blend this as I go, and then make sure that I leave the point at the top of her cheekbone alone. Just work my way lighter and lighter. That'll be okay. do the nose. I'm going to bring that. I'm going to start down here where the darker color is, and I'm going to, with tiny little circles, I'm going to kind of try and work that and blend that up into higher up on the nose. I hope you can see that. I'm just going to kind of work slowly. All right, a little bit more color here. Some more of this in here. This is a little bit darker. And work our way up into the forehead. Okay, let's move down into the neck. feel like right under her chin there should be some shadow. I don't want it super dark, so I'm just going to use the same skin color. Since we're going to keep this pretty light, the contrast should be enough of a shadow for right there. Let's go down here. Still don't know what I'm going to do with that collarbone. I think I'm going to cover it up. I want this to be lighter, but I don't want it to be white because it wouldn't be super duper stark. It would be blended. I like that. That works for me. Okay, shoulder. So I don't know if I mentioned it before. I've probably talked about it in other videos. But this paper that I'm using is by Recollections, which I get at Michael's. They also sell it on Amazon. Currently, though, I think they're out of stock on it, or the people who are selling it for a ridiculous price. Hopefully that will change in the future and it won't be so expensive, but check both places. Check Michael's, check Amazon. So it's Recollections cardstock. It's 150-pound cardstock, which for some printers might be too heavy to go through their printer. I bought specifically because I got tired of taking a flash drive and my paper to Staples to have them print it. It worked fine, except that I could never just like spur of the moment pick a page. I had to pick one that I had already had printed, and that was just me being, I don't know, that was just me being impatient and wanting what I want. So the printer that I got is a straight, the paper doesn't curve as it gets printed. It goes in the back of the printer and comes out the front of the printer. And so that allows it to print much easier on these heavy cardstocks. And this cardstock is pretty smooth. Before I started using this one, I used Strathmore Bristol Smooth paper. And for many colorists, I think that is too smooth for them. And I say that because, you know, you get on and you read Facebook posts in some of the coloring groups. People are always asking, what's the best paper to use, and so on and so forth. And just like with pencils, you get a huge difference in opinion on paper. I tried color pencil paper, Strathmore color pencil paper, and found it to be way too toothy for me. I tried Bristol Bristol cardstock, not smooth. I can't think of what it's called. I think it's just called Bristol. Um, and I found those to be too toothy for me. So paper is such a personal preference. For my style and for me, I get really good results with these smoother cardstocks. If it doesn't work for you, then by all means pick another paper. Find one that really works for you and makes you happy, because paper can make all the difference in the world if you're going to enjoy what you're doing or not, and if you're going to get a good results. And I always, worry isn't the right word, but I feel like new colorists who maybe start out with the wrong paper for them get frustrated and maybe give up, or maybe think that they can't get any better or achieve better results. And it's because they're just not using the right paper for their style of coloring. So I would say that if you're not happy with the results that you're getting with the paper that you're using, try another paper. I have seen some gorgeous portraits done with toned tan paper. I think that's Strathmore as well. Gorgeous. And there's people that just swear by that paper. I tried it, and I liked what it did for the portrait. The colors just pop on it, and the white really stands out. It was just really nice. But I didn't like it for any other parts of the picture. Now, that does not mean that I'm not going to try it again, because the results that people are getting with it are so incredible, and I really want to try it again. I could have been, it could have just been one of those days, or it could have been that I hadn't had enough experience under my belt trying it. I don't know, but I'm going to try it again. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue using the papers that make me happy and work for me. So if you can't find Recollections paper, but you want to try a smoother paper, the Strathmore Bristol Smooth is a beautiful paper. And actually, I would use that over this, except this is much cheaper. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. And so that's where we're at right now. I think I'm going to add the pink to her cheeks now. And that is, I cannot pronounce this pencil. It's number 571, Anthraquinoio Pink, I think is what it's called. And in Prismacolor, it would just be pink. So we're going to throw some of this down. I'm going to go partially over the white area and more just under her cheekbone. think we can probably start adding. This is buff titanium. And if you're using the Prismacolors, you can do this with eggshell or white. It depends on the look you're after with the skin tone. And again, I'm using kind of a firm pressure on the outer edges because I want things to start smoothing out and blending. Then as I start coming in, I'm going to use a lighter pressure. And this I might come in on top of that area that doesn't have any pencil on it, just a little bit more. Okay. There we go. So we're using this to kind of blend it all in. If you're doing this with Prismacolors, I wouldn't put as much pressure on. I would probably do a light layer of the eggshell and then use white to go over the whole thing and blend everything together with the white. I think if you use the eggshell, if you're using Prismacolors on here, it might make it just a little bit too yellow. Okay, I feel like I want just a little bit more of the burnt ochre 10%, the skin color, just a little bit more on here. It's feeling a little too yellow on the highlight. I might blend that out with my blender. Okay, so I'm going to take my Caran d'Ache full blender, which of course the really good long one is not in this room with me. So I hope I don't cover up too much of what I'm doing. I'm just blending right over this cheek because I felt like it needed it. That's better. That's better. Okay, we can keep going now. going to take my Luminance white. I might want to break out my Prismacolor. I might have covered up just a tiny little bit too much of this highlight. Oh, that works. We're going to use the Luminance white just right on top of the cheekbones. And right on top of the nose. Okay, let's work on down. So this is a pretty good amount of heavy pressure because we want everything to blend out real nice and get nice and smooth. So I'm going to leave a little area there, and I'm going to use the white right there in the very center. Use a little bit of white. think I forgot to put any little... Let's do that. Get a little bit of white right here so that we don't let that get too dark. And I'm going to put a little shadow going. Where's the shadow supposed to be again? Oh yeah, over here. Just like that. And probably that's a little bit too heavy. Blend that out a little bit. Okay, she looks pretty good. I think I'm going to come back in with the burnt Sienna 50%. Just darken up this outer edge here. And under her neck. Over here. I don't know if you can see them, but these lines on this page are driving me nuts. You probably can see them. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more depth right here. Right here. Now I'm just not sure if I want, I think I'm going to go a little bit, I wonder if I should break out a brown. I'm going to break out a brown. Okay, this is Sepia, and if you are using Prismacolors, I would use, depending on how dark you want to go, you can either use Espresso or light Umber. This might be, I'm afraid, this might be too dark. I'm going to go really, really light. Really, really light under here. Under there. It'll also help if we put the black in her nostrils. But of course, for some reason my black is, that's got to be around here somewhere. I might have to. Okay, so I just added a tiny little bit of darker, of the sepia, or darker brown. And I think that helped define her nose a little bit better. So since I have it out, I'm going to use it in here. use some slightly darker right there, but I'm going to use the burnt sienna. She still looks odd and a little dark to me, but that always happens before I add the eyes and lips. Once the eyes and lips get added, her skin tone will take on a whole different feel. I think I'm going to add a little bit more in here. Because I really liked the way that looked. Blend that. All right, when I take a break, I'll get the longer blender so I don't cover up so much of what I'm doing. And something about right in here is bugging me. I'm going to darken under her nose, but I want to do it by applying greater pressure with this the burnt ochre 10% as opposed to using an actual darker color, because I want that shadow under her nose to be subtle, not heavy. I might have gone too heavy on that one. So let's add a little bit of white just right here. There we go. Okay, I think I'm done with her skin, but you know, I'm sure you guys know that things always change. I'm just blending out a little bit with my blender because there were some areas that didn't look super smooth to me. And this is really smoothing everything out real nicely. Okay, I am going to turn off the camera for a minute. I'm going to go get my black and my longer blender, and we will do the eyes and the lips. Okay, I am back and ready to keep going. So let's put the little dark areas in where her nostrils would go. It's amazing how that tiny little bit of black makes such a difference. And I guess we can do the eyes. Let's do the eyes. So I think I want to do like a hazel eye. So for that, I'm going to use light umber Prismacolor. I think that's 941. And let's see, how can I do this so you can see what I'm doing? I will just use little straight lines going, radiating out from the pupil. Sometimes I just cover up the little highlight that an artist puts in and put it in myself, but in this case I like what the highlight looks like, so I'm going to try and leave it and work around it. And then I'm going to take my Espresso PC 1099, and we're going to go right around the outer edge. Alrighty. I do tend to always use black, unless I'm doing super, super light hair. I'm always going to use black for doing the eyes. So this is my Prismacolor black. Oh, I just just realized I did not do the little, I don't know what that's called. I need to Google that. There's a name for that little pink area there. And let's see, I think maybe Nectar. So for that little area in the corner of the eye, I'm going to use Prismacolor Nectar. Just very lightly. I don't want it to be too dark. I'm wondering if her eyes are dark. Oh, yeah, let's put the pupils in. Often I will use a black fine line marker for the pupil. Do I want to do that here? I think I might. You can definitely use a black pencil, but I'm going to use my little fine line marker. So this is just any fine line marker will work. These came from Hobby Lobby, but I've used all kinds. Well, that makes a big that makes a big difference. I think we're going to have to redo some of that highlight a little bit, maybe. That helps. Okay, I'm going to keep going with some color on the eyes. All right, so we used black on top. And I think maybe we'll use espresso on the bottom. Because it's just a little bit softer than black. I'm going to go right along the lash line. And then I think I need to put some color in on this shiny part under her eye, whatever that's called. Let's do... We'll do the same color we used on her skin. So that would be the Caran d'Ache Luminance Burnt Ochre, or if you are using Prismacolor, it would be the Light Peach. But that part right there is not going to be white. That's going to be a color pink or something. That's better. Okay, what do her eyes need? Something. I feel like they need something, but I don't know what. Let's try and shade the eyeball a little bit. I'm going to use some Prismacolor. I'm going to start with 10% cool gray, and if that is not dark enough, we'll do 20%. I'm just going to put a little bit on the inside corner and the outside corner of the eyeball to try and give that eyeball more of a round shape. Yep, 10% was plenty. We don't want to go too dark. Okay, and I'm looking, and the color underneath her eye is still too light. It needs to be a light flesh tone, so I'm going to come back in with that flesh tone that I used, and just very lightly add some color in there. Because it really shouldn't be white. Okay, let's do the lips, and then I'll have a better idea if I'm happy with the face or not. So I want to use my Prisma white. Right in the center there, kind of at the top of the lower lip, and just at the peak of the top lip. And now I'm going to use Nectar. Now the hard part for me is deciding if I want to add additional color on top of this, because, you know, part of me, sometimes you want that just sweet, soft, natural looking face, which I think this color does. And when I did this one, she had a really sweet, innocent little girl looking face until I added the second color on top of the lips, and it completely changed the look of her face. So, you know, this is a much more innocent, fresh face look, and if I add the red color, what do I use? It's somewhere around here. I can't find it. I'll find it. Anyway, if I add that on top of this, it takes away some of that sweet, fresh face look. So I'm not sure if but then on the other hand, it's kind of washed out without that extra color. So maybe we do a little bit of that extra color, but don't go crazy. You know what? I think I'm going to try henna. Normally I use Tuscan red. That's what I used on these lips, was Tuscan red. But maybe henna will be a nice color. So let's cross our fingers and see. So I want to add a little bit more color, but not, I don't necessarily want her to be wearing red lipstick, so Henna's a really pretty color. It's kind of pinky, kind of a pinky brown, maybe. Hard to describe. But I'm liking it. It's given the lips a little bit more definition, making them stand out from the face a little bit more, but not as bold as the Tuscan red. Yeah, I like it. Oh, I like that. Do I put any on the very top of the lip? Just a little bit. All right. Well, I know what colors I'm going to do for the hair, and I want to go ahead and get her eyebrows done. So I'm going to use dark brown for her eyebrows. So let's do that. It's amazing what a difference an eyebrow makes too. So kind of like for makeup, just tiny little short strokes. Really sharp pencils always work best when you're working on hair and eyes. Okay. I might, and I don't necessarily have to do it on camera, but I feel like the highlight on the front of her arm is just a little bit too heavy. So I'm going to just come in and soften that up a bit. That's better. It was just a little too harsh. Now it's softer and a little more natural looking. All right, guys, I think her skin and face is done. I'm gonna call that good. I still need to do her fingernails, but we'll do that on the next video. Well, I hope you had fun, and maybe you learned something, and I will see you guys all on the next video. I had a wonderful time as always. See you later.